Good morning. How is everyone doing this morning? I'm actually on time, smidgen early, which is pretty rare. I kind of had a panic earlier. I was trying to figure out where it opened at, and I was like, oh no, I can't find it. I hate it when that happens, but it happens. It happens more often than not. I hope everyone's having a great day and ready for a fun project today. Trying to get little bit better light over here. Without a lot of reflection, I'm not doing too well, am I? Not sure I'm seeing reflection on the screen or in the video. Hello, Deb. Okay, I guess I will kind of just go over what we're doing today. This is what we're making. This is my little, I don't know, I guess I gave it a name. What did I give it? Secret Matchbox book. So this is the book, and it has the little belly band thing to close it. And you open it up, and it's still a book. And yeah, it's collaged all over. You can do this any way you want to do it. I actually, in the kit that I prepared, I have book pages and painty pages. And again, you can do what you want with it. Hi, Darla. Maybe you want a theme. You maybe want it all in blue, or you want it all floral. I mean, so you can do whatever you want. I just provide the kit in the way I made it and the way I'm going to teach it, and use it for however you want. So these are match boxes, and they have little knobs you can pull out. We got a couple ways we can do that. And inside of these, I tend to push them out because it's just easier. Inside of these are little books that we will make, and each one can be in there. And you don't have to put a book in each one. Maybe you want to put some other fun things in there. Oh, and we're just getting started. We're just getting started. So this is the project, and we're gonna, okay, I don't have that one in there, right? It's because they fit. There we go. Okay, so this is our project. If you ordered the kit, hopefully you have that ready and you're going to work along with us. And I'm going to go over what's in the kit. You have some string or cord of some sort to I can't do the reflection, so I just hope it's okay. Yeah, I thought this kit was fun. Thanks, Anne. Hi, Laura. So you got some kind of cord to make a closure. When I made my closure, I had this little piece of painted fabric here, and I just thought it went perfect. And I had to put it on there, but it wasn't long enough to tie. So I kind of played around and come up with this idea. So again, you can do this. You could make a band, and then just, clip it. You've got pins in there. It didn't look good by itself. Even, the fabric clipped. It needed something, so I did the paper. And then, of course, I had to sew it, and I wasn't going to take it on, take y'all into the other room to do the sewing. So anyway, that's what that is. You have a little bag here with some flat beads and some round beads and your head pins and a bulb pin to close whatever. And then you have your thread for stitching your little books. So you don't have a needle. That's one thing you don't have. You have your matchbox matchboxes. This is the one I had in this kit, but I had forgotten I had this. This was in a box of things my husband bought me. Not a box, a great big gallon jar full of stuffs, and this was in there, and I thought, they're already glued together. Might as well use this. So this is what I'm going to use this for today. I really wanted to do the little ones, but hey, a step saved is a step saved. You have some book pages. You have some of my painting papers that I have copied and have printables for you. And you should have more than enough, because I think everybody's got at least 3, maybe 4. I think I have a few extras because I took what was left over. You have a page of quotes, maybe more. Again, these were my first attempt, so my kit is what was left over kind of thing. You have some tea-dyed papers or coffee-dyed, whichever they are. I don't know. I've had them for a while. To make the book pages or use wherever you need, and some cardstock for covers. And then you have chipboard to make the cover of the real book. So that's your kit. And other things you may need, of course, you're going to need some scissors. We won't say how many pairs of scissors I have over here laying out, ready to go. You're going to want a ruler, scoreboard, possibly. We're going to be doing some scoring, but you don't have to have it. I just happen to have one. I use, excuse me, when I fold things, I use this edge or this edge to fold papers. Like, if I'm going to fold something, I'll put this edge up there, and then I can put this edge up there. And all I have to match is the corners, and I get it right. So I use the edge of this more than anything. It helps a lot. You're going to need a marker or paint, because we paint the edges of the books, or the edges of the matchbooks, boxes. Boxes. I think y'all know what I mean. Hi, Belinda. Pencils, pens, markers. I'm not going to pull those down. They're all on the shelf right here behind me. And I don't know how come I have that dark shadow there. It's driving me nuts. Does it look really dark at the top for some reason, or is it just me? I don't know. That might help a little bit. You need glue. I have some glue sticks because I have like 3 that are almost empty. Or liquid glue, whichever you prefer. I probably will use a little bit of both. You may want to ink the edges of papers or your boxes or your book. So you may want ink. I kind of let the Sharpie do as much of the work as possible. You're going to need jewelry pliers because to put the head pin in and twirl the wire, but we have an option for that to do something different, so that's okay. You are going to need an awl or a needle to poke holes in your boxes and to do your books. And you're going to need you can have a needle and it'll do it all, but if you're going to use a pokey tool, then you need a needle too to stitch your books. We're going to show some different things we could use on this, and you may want stamps to help decorate it. It's kind of what you want to do. I'm going to give you the basics, and we're going to go from there. I did grab, this was the washi tape I pulled out that I'm not fond of, and so I've been using it as collage material and just gluing it down. So anyway, so that's pretty much what I have. I'm sure there's something I'm missing because, that's just how it is. There always is something missing, something I'm going to have to get up and get or roll around and get. So with that being said, you probably want something to glue on. So that being said, I'm going to get started. I couldn't give written directions with the kit. I may see if I can find someone who would be willing to watch this and write directions for me afterwards for future kits, which, by the way, if you don't have a kit and you are interested, the kits are on my Ko-fi store. And I thought I had that in my name at the bottom, but I don't. Um, I'm sure that my friends Laura or Darla can pop that in for me. So the reason I couldn't give written instructions is because, everybody's matchboxes are going to be different. I will give you a little hint on them if you're rounding up the materials yourself. Now, I do know that you can buy the little like 12 pack or something of the tiny matches in like at Dollar Tree or something. And hey, Dragon. Yeah, I couldn't find my mini scoreboard at first. I thought I was going to have to drag out the big one, but it just showed up. Hey, Susie. You're not late. We haven't started anything except supplies. I went through the kit and showed some of the stuff. I don't know if I said you might want toothpicks for spread and glue. So the specifications I did for this was they had to be the same this way, same length, and they had to be the same depth. Because if you get one that sets up higher, like you couldn't put this one together because it's not going to close as well. But it's totally up to what you want to do. So that is what I did when I made the kits. I made sure they were all the same this way and the same depth, so they were all level. That way there'd be some consistency, because we all know when we craft there's not always consistency. I'm glad you like it, Susie. I do love making kits, and I have so many ideas. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm hoping we get a whole lot of new kits coming up. I've been playing with tins, and so I've got some ideas for that too. Oh no, that's awful. And we've already planted our rose bushes and some sunflowers, and things are growing, and the garden's starting to pop up, all those that are supposed to come back. I'm kind of excited about that. More excited to see it when it's done. I don't really do it. My husband does most of that. So let's get started. We're going to first off make the basic structure. Now, you could take your matchboxes and glue them end to end like this. In fact, that's what I would suggest you do first. I'm gonna use these, but I'm gonna kind of demo with these. So I just didn't want the match striking part to be on the outside. I don't know why. I just didn't. No reason. So I'm going to use some wet glue because it's going to adhere and be stronger. And I'm going to put these. Okay, I'm probably going to have to start you because I was using this last night and don't think I put it away right. Yeah, my trusty little pen. So I'm just going to glue the edges. And I'm going to hold it just a little bit. This tool, it is, I don't know, it's a glue gun, precision glue press. Yes, I do. I had thought about it, and I had thought about it, and I had thought about it, and I never bought it. And it was gifted to me by a wonderful friend. And my theory now, because I had thought about it and wasn't sure, is how did I live without that? That's all I need to know. I don't know how I lived without that. Oh, and another thing I don't think I listed you may need is a paper cutter of some sort. And you know what? Some of the sentiments in the kit are different for each person. I think Laura, there was a couple of them that I kind of made sure you got, so I hope you got them. Yeah, it's really wonderful, the little glue gun, because it I don't know, my hands don't hurt. Sometimes I have to squeeze it several times to get it going, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that's a big squeeze. But after you get going with it, it's like it's nothing. It's wonderful. So you need to have these glued together. That would be your first step. You can, um, you can visually measure. Let's get this out of the way. Maybe I want it extra long in there. I don't. You do want to have your, you want a little bit of ellipse. If you look on mine, you don't see the beads. And I like that because that's what makes it the secret. It looks just like a book until you open it up and you say, oh, what are those beads for? So I'm going to do, and believe me, I'm really good at cutting wrong and then having to do it again. So I try to measure. This. I don't normally measure. So this is right at 2 inches. And this is why you don't have written directions in the kit, because every Matchbox is different. So it's 2 inches. I know that I want it to be 1/4 of an inch in. So that's 2 1/4. I know that I can't put that fold right there because of the thickness of the chipboard. So I am going to go with like 1/8 of an inch more. So 2 1/4 plus 1/8 is, God, I didn't know I was going to math this early. 5/16 if you want to get technical. So I usually have a piece of paper or a Post-it. Here's my Post-its. Handy when I am making things. Because when I do measure for covers and then, pages in a book, that kind of thing, I like to write that down. So we need 2 5/16. And that's just going to be the first score. I'm going to measure this. And this is close enough to 1/2 an inch to call it, plus 1/2 an inch. And then we're going to go the other direction with another 2 5/16. So now I get to do really complicated math. So that's 4 10/16, which could go down to 5/8. And this is the same thing as, take this times 2 is, okay, 1/2 an inch is 4/16. So, or no, it's 2/8, so it's 7/8. So I'm going to just round it up and call it 1 inch. So I'm going to cut this for 5 inches. Is that right? So no. Somebody mathing for me? Hi, Kim. So okay, let's see. I need 4 10/16, which equals 4 5/8. So then we add the 1/2 an inch, which is 2/8. It makes it 7/8. So it is 5 7/8. So I'm going to cut it at 6 inches. Really, I'm sorry. I don't want to get you lost. All you need to do is measure this to get your scores. Measure your matchboxes so it fits. I'm trying not to be technical because I don't do technical, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut this at 6 inches. Oh, no, it's not 6 inches wide. Doggone it. So hopefully we're cutting once. Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I did that too. Um, Mine seemed to be staying together, but I sat here and held them for a while. And again, I used a wet glue for this, and I think it'll do better. This one, like I said, was already done. So it's a little bit wide. Oh, one of my boxes is going to need some repair work. This is a pretty old thing, but it didn't seem to be that valuable, so it was okay. So I'm just going to do this visually and make a little mark. Bring it over to the paper cutter, and I'm going to cut that. Now, this is store-bought chipboard. I had it, so that's why I'm using it. I don't, a cereal box, anything like that would be fine. You don't have to use the store-bought because I'm using and making the kits with what I had. So I know that I need to go to 2 and 5/16. So there's 2 1/4. I'm going to do it this way. And this is really hard to score on the scoreboard. So where's that? And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 1/2 inch. And actually, it's not going to quite work. I actually cut it a little bit shorter. All right, let's start this over. See, I confused myself. Let me grab a different piece of chipboard, and we're going to do it the way I would probably normally do it. I was trying to be precise, and I should know by now precise isn't one of my skills. And I'm looking for the chipboard because there's a ton of it here, and I can't find it. Okay, I got a great big piece because I couldn't find the smaller ones. So, see, you get to see the mistakes I made and make so that you don't have to make them. So I'm going to cut this on the paper cutter just how long I need it to be, given a little bit on both edges. And I'm going to take it to the paper cutter. And I'm going to cut that off. Okay, so we know this is going to fit this way. So we're going to take this and we're going to lay it on our scoreboard or against a ruler. We're going to put it there. We're going to, okay, it needs to be this wide. Okay, so we're going to turn it this way. And I'm going to leave like 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to mark by using let me grab a ruler because a big ruler, just so that maybe you can see this better. And not everybody's got a scoreboard. So I'm going to put this. Okay, you're going to have to read it kind of, thank goodness I have more than one ruler. But the way I've got this set up, it's not. The markings are on the wrong side for me, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so we have this right here. And now we know we want 1/2 inch. So using your ruler, We got this mark right here. That's where that is. So we're going to go 1/2 inch, 1, 2, there. And I'm going to add just a little bit more because this is pretty much right at 1/2 inch. So let's go just a smidgen more. And then we'll put this back there. And here's where that is. And I'm going to add the 1/4 of an inch there. So yes, there's lots of marks. This is where I'm going to cut it. And these are where I'm going to score it. Did that make it any easier? Okay, so I have that done. That little piece is bothering me. Here's another little tip. When you have something a little uneven, a little piece of stringy thing, a little emery board just kind of fixes everything. And if you, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of rough cut here. Nice and smooth now. So I have it. Let's hope it's all right. This corner's a little dog-eared, but I think it'll be all right. So I am going to score, and this is heavy duty. So I'm going to go slow because I'm probably going to get out of the rut. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to stay right in there. I can tell that now. Let's do the ruler, the little ruler, so I don't have to. Again, you can use a ruler and your scoreboard because this gives you the square edges. Thank you, Darla. So I'm going to score this. And like I said, it's heavy duty, so I'm scoring a couple times. And I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. If your measurements don't work with your scoreboard, you can just move it slightly and hold it really good and tight in place. I'm not 100% sure that I'm actually going in the grooves because this is so thick. Okay, so I do have them there, and I'm going to put my fingers on this side and move it down, and then turn it this way and put my fingers there. You could easily put your ruler on here and bend it around that, which might actually be easier because of the thickness. So now we're going to take this and make sure our matchbooks fit inside. Voila, they do. I actually could make it a little shorter. It's a little longer there, so I think I'm going to do that just because of, I don't know, it just kind of looks like it should be cut a little shorter. No other explanation than I think it could be just a little shorter. Because all you really are concerned about at this point is making sure that you have enough to go this way and have your spine. Because you can always trim these down. You can always trim this down. So there we go. We have our matchbooks and we have our cover. That is the hardest part. Honestly, that is the hardest part. So now it doesn't really matter. You could sit here and collage all this. I'm going to show you a few shortcuts that I did. And okay, so we have this. I know that I don't have to put collage material here because it's not going to be seen. And I don't have to put collage material here because it's not going to be seen. I like painting these black. I didn't want to mess with putting any collage material on that. And I think it really ties it together well. Now this side is the outside. So I made that a little more appealing, I should say. So anyway, that being said, I am going to start gluing. This is how I did it because to me it was easier. When I collage, I like to put little pieces on So I took book pages and I don't know why, but I have this thing with the blank part of the book pages. I always take that off. Oh, come on. Maybe I should have practiced before I did the video, huh? And again, you can cut this. Like I said, I don't like the white part. And getting it perfect isn't that big a deal. I'm just getting this off of, and I actually had 2 pages at once there. Y'all, Darla's just watching me, and she's making the directions, so follow Darla. Thank you, Darla. I so appreciate it. So I have a couple pieces of book pages. I know that I don't need to collage on this, but there is a little bit of the edges sticking out, as you can see right here. So what I did with this is I'm going to cover this right here. I'm going to go clear up to the score line and put this on here. And I'm using a piece of paper that's actually bigger than my cover. And I'm going to glue. You know, the one I cut might have worked, but I was a little frustrated, so starting over was easier for me. So I'm going to take some glue stick or wet glue, whatever you prefer to use. This is going to be faster. That's why I'm using it. And I'm going to put this down. And I put it on the wrong side. So we're still going to, that's okay. That's not okay. That's okay because it's not the wrong side. I was thinking I was on the inside. And when you use a glue stick, and if you go back in any video that I have where I've used a glue stick, I think I probably tell you this, burnish. That is what makes a glue stick better than what most people think glue sticks are. I have pieces of wood that I have glued things on that are 10 years old and it's still stuck. So I have all this overhang. So this is where we're kind of camouflaging. And all I'm going to do is just cut this little corner out at a slight angle there and a slight angle there. And the same thing over here, just like you were covering a book. And now I'm going to put glue on these. I can't wait for this glue stick to be done. I really don't care much for it. You can also kind of go around the edges. Your chipboard, that just kind of makes it stick a little better when you fold it over. And I'm just going to fold these all over. How did I get glue everywhere? That's me. And I'm going to burnish. I have used my hand to burnish. I have used my wonderful little thingamajiggy that APG Jamie made me. And I use the glue stick lid a lot. This is probably the first thing I pick up most of the time. And I'm leaving that as done. The reason I covered this is when you're collaging, if you happen to leave little holes or spaces, there's something covering it. I'm doing the outside first. I cover the whole thing in the book pages. Again, like I said, it's strictly for the purpose of covering any holes you may have when you start to collage. That's all. Now, if you notice, I did go to the edge of the spine. I do that because, again, this is thick. I don't want it to crack when it bends. And I can take ink or something and do these edges, and you'll never know that I stopped there. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Yeah, we'll just see. I think my problem is I make it and then I make it for teaching it, and it's been a long enough time I forget what's what. So bear with me. But like I said, that's why we take classes and watch other people, is so that we can do this without the mistakes that they've already made. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Snip out my corners. This also lets you get a nice clean finish on the edges of your cover. And this little corner did not want to get some glue on it. So we're going to fix that. And I cut my angle the wrong direction there. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on these. And all of this is really going to be covered. I just do this because, like I said, I want all my spaces taken care of, because, you know, when you're putting down a piece of collage material, you find something that looks perfect there and it don't quite fit. Well, you're okay, because you've got something there instead of the brown cardboard sticking through. So now we have the outside done except for the spine. And I am going to, I'm actually going to take this to the paper cutter because I can't cut a straight line to save my soul. So I'm just going to cut that because I know that I measured that at a 1/2 inch, and the paper cutter can help me with that, with measurements and straight. So there we go. And I will just glue that down. In fact, I'm going to put the glue on the paper and glue the whole thing, because I'm going to flip it over again. Thanks, Darla. I'm going to burnish this. And as you can see, I do have a slight gap there, not so much there. So when I flip this, there might be a little bit of an edge, but again, if you're burnishing, you can really help that along, and ink is going to fix that. Or you may have a piece of paper that kind of folds over it. When I have a spine and I'm doing kind of a messy collage, if I'm going over the spine, I make sure I go way over so that it doesn't come undone. So basically we have that. Now you can let this dry a little bit before you start your collage, and you can do the same thing to this. I'm going to go ahead and this box is a little broken, so I'll fix it later, but I'm going to go ahead and take these all out. And this one I'm going to have to, when I get ready to do the edges, I will put something all the way around, and then, you know, to help reinforce that. But for now, we're going to go on this side. Here's an easy step to help everybody get past their worried. I'm going to get, as you can tell, sometimes I'm not always a patient crafter. I want to use what's handy, and I want to do what's quick. So I'm going to take this thicker Sharpie. Again, you could paint this, easily paint this. You could use a paint marker. The thing with the Sharpie is, when you're done, you're done. And, oh, I made mistakes. That's okay. It's on the bottom. It's not going to be seen. I'm just making sure I get all my edges. and into the little seams, because when you take this and put this back in, that's all you see is the edge. So I'm not precise on this. I just don't want to leave any little white, well, I say white spots, brown spots, depending upon the color of your chipboard. You might just want to just make sure nobody knows it's Cheerios, or maybe nobody knows it's Captain Crunch, whichever cereal box you may be using. Captain Crunch sounds so good right now. I don't know why that came to mind. I can't eat it because it would tear the roof of my mouth apart, but it was one of my favorites. And we'll just do this. This could be done at any time. I'm doing it now because I thought of it now, and it is done now. It's just one more step we didn't have to do, or don't have to do later. Okay, so we have all 3 boxes done and ready to go. So we could glue it in here, but we're going to go ahead and cover it, and we're going to cover a little bit. We're going to cover the whole thing, but we're going to go a little over the outside edges just so that it is not the plain side. And again, I'm going to use the book pages. This time I think I'm going to use the little older looking book pages, mostly because they are, it's going to show a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully pick up my ruler. And I'm going to go ahead and tear off my white. I'm not doing both sides because it's not going to show. And that sure didn't tear good, did it? Let's try this one and see if I can tear it better. No, it just doesn't want to tear very well. It's doing a little bit better. Okay, that's good. We'll cut this. You could cut this also. I was trying to save time. So I'm going to cover just this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these guys with the glue. And you take your boxes out, because if you're using a glue stick, you are liable to get glue inside those boxes on the lip of them like I just did. I think I'm going to use the wet glue for this. And sometimes when I'm using wet glue, I use the wet glue on the edges and then the glue stick inside. But I'm just going to use this. Dragons, if you're still in here, this does have a little stand it sets in so you can leave it out. Hi, Aaron. Everybody read Darla's comment. She says, Jean, I just laid my chipboard on my scoreboard, set the boxes on it, scored right next to my boxes, stood them up on the end to get the spine, and now I'm folding it over to see where I want to cut. Perfect idea. Perfect idea. So I'm just going to lay this paper on here. I should have cut this before, and I know that, but that's all right. So I can't burnish too much because I don't want to smash the boxes. Okay, so I am going to, I don't want to get the scissors up here because I know me and I would probably cut into the boxes. So I'm going to take an X-Acto knife And I'm going to go at an angle like kind of like this. And I'm just going to follow the boxes. You could have measured and cut it, or you could have folded it over. We're going to pretend I didn't cut this because I want you to see this. We're just going to fold this over. We're going to take our emery board and smooth out, and it will actually cut it for us. Now, see, I kind of tore it there because I didn't. Trim it down. So I can tell you right now, this is bigger than the boxes are. So we'll see the emery board trick on the other side. So I'm going to use the wet glue because I'm going over the striker thing here on this end. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some more glue. And you don't have to have this much paper that folds over. It's just how much paper I had. And so I'm going to put that on there. This part is never going to be seen. This is going to be glued into your book. So it's not a precise thing. I do have a little spot there of a tear. And I'm just going to do this to kind of get that good crease in there. And I don't like that little tear, so I'm just going to put a little glue there. If it doesn't smooth in like I want it to, I'll hit it with the emery board thing. I don't want to glue this. So now you've seen me do glue stick on one side and wet glue on the other, so you know there's plenty of options. And I have a tear there, so a glue stick would probably tear it more, so I'm going to use the wet glue to fix that. And I don't know if you can tell, there's a little overhang here. I'm going to use the emery board. I actually have, sitting on my desk, I have my my pencils and my watercolor pencils, my pastel pencils, and my colored pencils in different containers. And then I have Lazy Susans with containers, and I actually have a whole container of emery boards because I really go through them more, my crafts, than anything else. And you can use that to smooth any edges that you're not happy with. So now our boxes look like one piece. So now what I would do is go ahead and glue this in, but we've got this little space that may or may not take collage. But before we glue this in, now what I'm saying is you can see how it's going to get glued in and have its room and all that. So we're going to collage now, because when I get ready to collage, I will just collage. Let's take a pencil. When I'm doing the inside, I will just go up to here. And if you want to do these edges, because they show, you can. I did not. I left my book pages. That's why I did it to where they could fold over, is so that there's book pages out there. And actually, as I put this in here and close it, I could have made it a little shorter, but I'm okay with it. I like it like it is. So excuse me, I'll get a drink. So now we're ready to collage, and you have plenty of book pages to use however you want, if that's what you want. And then you have a lot of different painty papers. And you can, if you want to, it totally depends upon the papers you got, because not everybody got the same papers. And if you did this even with your own papers, and you didn't want to do, let me see if I can rephrase that. Okay, so I have this and say, this is it. This is what I love. You could actually do your papers instead of the book pages and do the same thing, folding them over and do the whole page. I mean, basically you're covering with that. So that is one choice. But I want to tear things up and use pieces of it. And I have this piece right here that's already pieces torn up, and then I copied it. So this is probably what I'm going to start with. And I think I'll take and just tear a piece off to start with. And you can cut it, you can tear it, it doesn't matter. You can glue the whole thing down, whatever it is that you like. I don't want anybody to ever think they have to do it just like me. So if I wanted to right there, I'm going to fold that over and I'm done. I'm going to have to turn that off here in a little bit, I think. So, again, it's how you want. This one, I use lots of little bits of painting papers and stuff that I already had. And I do keep some bits, but not a lot. So I like this part. This part really appeals to me. So I'm probably going to do that like that. And you can tear apart and you can audition, or you can just flat lay it down and go. I really like this, but I'd like to cut those out so that you see that, but I'm not going to do that right now. And I like this curve. I love circles. So I'm going to cut this and use it somewhere. I don't know where. And like I said, when you get to these, you can do these if you want, or you can leave them, because this side you want to do all the way. This side where your boxes go, it looks pretty good just like that. When, to have your edges, because that helps it look like a book. Now, for some reason, we just have math equations on the ends of these, but that's okay. So I really like this, and I think I want that to be on the front edge, and I am just going to mark this with my thumbnail where I want to cut it. That way I know it's straight. And that's going to go there. But of course, it's not going there now because I want it on top. So we're going to just pull out papers. I don't know what part of what I'm going to use until I start to glue it down. And I am cutting this in chunks. If some of you like this paper, this was pieces of different pieces so that you could get as much of a variety in your kit as possible. Anybody got any questions before I go any further? Am I confusing you all totally right now? So. And I'm not worried about if I'm right at the edges or if I'm a little over. Again, we can use the emery board, and like I have a little space here, which inking your edges or using a marker would fix that. And I don't want all my edges cut. I do like to be edges on the spine because I don't like the thought of them tearing apart at another time, later down the road. And I like torn edges when I collage, but you can have a few straight edges in there and it's okay. most of the time they seem to get covered up. Like you can see this straight edge is covered, but when I put this on, most of it will be covered. So I need something a little darker in there. And like I said, feel free to pull out your own stuff. I think what I'm going to do right here is going to grab a little piece of washi tape. You know, like I said, these are the ones I wasn't real fond of, and they maybe don't necessarily go with this project. But I'm pulling quite a bit of that off because I know what parts I want. And I'm just going to stick it to my little mat here, and I can pull it off when I need it. So I'm just going to put this right here. Well, because it's washi tape, we're going to glue it. I don't know why washi tape has to be like that, but we definitely need to glue it for permanence sake. Okay, burnish that a little bit. The edges are here. I am not going to sand this because I don't want to sand that. So I'm going to kind of bevel my scissors and cut that little bit off. So now when I put this on here, it's still kind of got a little bit covered. You still see little words, but it's all going to blend in really well. And then I pulled off this tape because when I started messing with it, it's when I realized that there is black and white in there, and that's my favorite. I like the black and white because it gives a pop of color to, or not a pop of color. I don't know. It makes the colors pop out. That's what I want to say. Y'all, my words have been crazy messed up lately. They don't know whether I'm coming or going. So bear with me. That's just what I wanted. And this tape that I pulled off had evidently been stuck on top of itself. And it wasn't the full pieces of tape. Now I can't find the start and stop of this one again. But I like this one because it's got the little chunks of black and white. And it just saves me from standing up and getting my box of washi tape that has the black and white in it. So pull off some more of this so I can have it handy. And there's other colors, and they're good. They're just, I like the black and white. I hate it when things fall on the floor. And then I have to go get them. Not really sure where these are going yet. But we'll find a place for them. And I keep pulling up my little circle so I kind of know what's going to show. And I think that I want to put this on next. And again, I'm not really thinking it out because when we're done, we can go in and we can make marks and we can make things seem to fit together better than what they are. Because that's what collage is all about. Mixed up fun things. So I need to come out this way and across the bottom. Okay, let's find another piece of paper. Really like this little section, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it because it's already got a line. So that kind of, and it's actually going to fold over because it works. And when I glue this down, I'm going to put this like this. And I'm going to go ahead and hold this down and fold this so that it goes around. No, we don't have to pick up the things we dropped, but I dropped the tape and I thought I might need that some more. So, and I didn't want to keep picking up all the little scraps that's already on the floor. So I folded that, and so if you fold it back up, it's going to be kind of have a little bubble. So it's just something it's just kind of how I do it. I just kind of work it so that it knows it can go every direction. And hang on, I got to step away and turn on the overhead because I need the ceiling fan. I don't know if it's nerves or what, but I feel like it's hot in here. So I still have a little spot here. I could leave that and just doodle on it, you know, so it's totally whatever you want to do. I want to offer you different directions, different ideas, so that you guys can, I don't know, pick up tips here and there, I guess. I don't know. Because I never do the same thing twice. And I like this. I think I want that edge torn. When you're collaging and you have papers and you're tearing them, you know, sometimes you get the white, even when you don't want the white to be on the edge. And I don't know if you know the difference and how to do that. I'm going to show you real quick in case you do or don't. So I'm going to tear it right here so it's obvious. You tear towards you, you're going to have the white on this edge, but this edge, if this is what you're tearing off, you won't. You tear away from you, the edge is on this side, not that side. So a lot of times when I'm tearing something, I'll tear this way and this way and this way and this way. And so it's got a little bit of the white, but it doesn't have the whole thing having a white outline. That may be something you already knew, maybe not, but it's just one of those little helpful hints. And when I'm collaging, I save these tiny, tiny bits because you never know when you're going to put them on and need them somewhere. So I'm going to do this part now. And again, I'm going to try to just, oh, that works. That piece is perfect. And I'm just going to piece them in there so that they fit in. And I have to use up the last of this glue stick. You know how much glue is left in these little things when you're done? It just drives me nuts. Sometimes I dig it out and sometimes I don't. This time I'm digging it out. And I just use a little palette knife and dig out a little chunk and just spread it down. Let's see, got a lot of extra glue here, so we're going to pick some of that up and slide it up here. And let's see what I really like this part, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it like that so that I can get it to, and I'm usually pretty good at figuring a ½ inch, but like I said, we're going to ink the edges or color them with a marker, so if we're not exact, that's going to be fine too. And that's why we put the book pages down. So the front is pretty much done. I got to put my little circle on. And this might be the end of this little bit of glue in here. And no, I'm not that tight that I do this with the glue. It just kind of makes me mad that there's that much glue wasted. I mean, you can almost do a whole project with what's still in there. And a Q-tip works well too. I just tend to use the palette knife because then I got something to scrape it with and I don't make such a big mess on my fingers. And I'm just going to put this right up to the edge and burnish it. And so the cover is finished. And I'm doing this right now is because of anything that is on the edges. And, you know, just trying to make sure it's all good burnished down. And we're just going to continue covering it. Is everybody following along okay? Or we got any questions? Is everybody working? Who's all working on their project today? I know I sold several kits. So, you know, I know Darla is and Laura is. I know Kim's working along on something. Unfortunately for her, it's so hard to send her a kit because the cost of postage to Canada is crazy. I'm sitting here looking at this washi tape, and there's a couple that. Did y'all see how I was doing this? Just curiosity. This is a bungee cord. I put a clamp on it so it doesn't fall off, and then I can hook this on anything I want. And so that's helping me use up some of this crazy amount of washi tape that for some reason I think I needed. But I just seen this one, and it is really vintage, and I don't have a lot of vintage here. And so I'm going to do this with little, like this little postage looking stamp. And if I can get the glue off, the glue lid off, put a little bit of glue on the back of it. I mean, the washi works for a while, but you know, it's not going to stay. So I just put a little piece. It's kind of transparent. You can't hardly see it, but it just adds a little. So that's something else you could do with your washi, especially if you're like me and you have a lot you need to get rid of. And I'm not exaggerating any. There's a lot of it. Now, I started to pick this up, turn it around to do the other side, but I'm going to keep it this way because I don't necessarily have a top and a bottom, but maybe I do. You know, I'm not sure, so let's just stay the same direction to be safe. Now, I kind of love this, and I'm kind of thinking like this could be the whole thing. I'm not going to because one, it's on the back, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cut out another chunk to tear up. And as you can see, I have quite a mess. My papers are just laying out wherever, you know, I want to pick them up, dig them out, rearrange, that kind of thing. And like I said, everybody's got different papers. So, and I told you earlier when I was going through the tools that you might need scissors. And I said I had several pairs sitting over here. So I have big ones for cutting big things. I have little ones. I have some curvy ones for curves. And I have another pair of straight, because even though these are both straight, they serve different purposes to me. I like different scissors for different things. But I have one favorite pair, just off the subject here, because that's just how I roll. These my sister got for me years ago when she worked at the packing plant. This is what they used in the packing plant to cut small bones and cut meat and cut fat off and stuff. and they are amazing. Well, they really need sharpened. They work great for most things, but sometimes I can tell they need sharpened. And I have looked all over for a place to sharpen them. We do not have any place near us. I'd have to mail them off. So you got the postage one way and then the postage back, plus the cost. I finally found them on Amazon for $25. Postage one way and back is going to be really close to, $15, I'm sure. So, needless to say, I have a new pair coming, and when they get here, some of these old cheapies, they're going to get gone. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they're going to get gone. They just have to because we have too much stuff. So I'm just going to cut chunks out because you can always layer over them and change the way they look because you have plenty, plenty of papers. So we're going to get the last little bit of this glue out. Little Miss Tightwad here. And I was asked to see what I could do with glue stick cases. And Kim, the only thing I can think of and the only thing I can find is to melt your crayons and make a big crayon. I have looked all over the place for ideas for those. I've seen some where they've taken them and made faces and kind of made this little toy that pushed up, but it didn't impress me. It wasn't anything I even wanted to try. Oh, that was the empty one. There. And I know that several people have used these glue sticks and they don't like them. But they are my favorite and I can't find them anymore. I think I have 6 or 7 left and then I got to find a new glue. And this is all I'm going to be doing is just collaging bits and pieces on here. And if I go over the edges, I can use the emery board or the scissors and trim them. There is a way, if you've got just a little bit over, if you go like this, it'll take the edges of what you glued on off and not this paper. But you got to be gentle. And I'll be honest, when I am collaging little bits of paper, this is my favorite burnisher. Well, hello, Miss Carol. I have not talked to you in ages. I really like this here, but again, I'm going to wait so that that edge is on top. And I think I'm just going to tear this because I want that right there. Everyone, Carol is my friend that used to live here, and she moved away, and I sure miss her. I miss our crafting times, and yeah. I think I'm going to put this right here. As you can tell I like the circles and the little bumps because I tend to put those in a lot of places. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so happy to see you. I could almost cry. Except I have to keep talking, so I can't cry. So hi, Jerry. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of the tape because we need a little more black and white somewhere in there. You can tell this tape is a little old. It just curls and it's really not very sticky at all. But it sure makes nice little accents. And it's one of those things that, I never thought about adding it in collages and using it like this. It's just, it works. It really does. It's gets to get it used up, and when it's glued down in a collage, it just looks like a little piece of paper. Well, Carol Charmaine was going to show up, but I haven't seen her yet, so that would be cool. So we did the hard part, measuring and making our cover. Now we're doing the time consuming part, and that is just decorating. And we still got a whole lot of steps too. Yes, yet. And it's funny how this side has so much red in it, especially when red is not a color I use a lot. And I like to have an X-Acto knife for times like this when I glue something down. Then I can use it to get under there. So I usually have an X-Acto knife out while I'm working on things. I hope some of these tips I share are something that you can use or something you might remember down the road when you're working on something. That's why I try to pop off every once in a while with what I'm doing and why. So Kim, could you put the link to your Facebook page in so that when people get finished with their projects, that's one place you can put them. You can also put them in the Crafting for a Cause Facebook page. I really, really want to see everybody's things when they're done. So I have the outside completely done. There's a lot I can still do to this. I mean, it's pretty cool like this, but I'm an outliner, and that's outliner, not outlaw. And I'm going to take some pins, or I'm not a fan of these brush tips. I don't know how they keep finding their way in here. I write hard. Everything I do, I embroidery tight, I crochet tight. So those brush tips don't work so good for me. So I'm just going to outline a few things here and there. And so maybe like right here where there's a little bit of the book pages, I'm going to just kind of outline that area and just put some little marks in there, and it blends in. We got a tip that didn't get glue. And maybe we want to, make new lines. Just kind of some doodles. Nothing fantastic. Nothing in that has a plan. It's just how it happens. And if you got little white spots, you can help get some more black and white into those things. And like I've got circles here, so I'm going to put another circle in there. And you can doodle in colors. You can do add other colors with pens and markers and paint pens, and you can continue some of the doodles that are already on there and make it fuller. It's totally up to you, whatever you choose to do. I'm just offering suggestions, and I hope you can find some that work for you. So that's all I'm going to do is that. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the inside. Now, knowing this is my front, but if I didn't really like that and I wanted this to be my front, this could be my front too. So, make your decision knowing what's your front. This little piece is driving me crazy. I don't know how many times I've glued that little guy down. We will collage this whole side and into the spine and a little bit into here, because when you put your matchboxes on there, a little bit of it shows. If you want to just take a piece of the book page and put down there, that's fine too. It lets you have room to move if you don't. And it doesn't matter because you can put things on top of things. I'm seeing parts that I'm loving, so I'm cutting them out right now. And this would be an easy project if you've got the matchboxes to do in a vintage style too. I kind of think my style is a bit vintage. In the original one that I did, it's kind of vintage and it's kind of bright. I like the grunge with the color. And I just noticed I really didn't do any extra doodling on this side at all. So, it is whatever you want to do. Whatever. So right now I'm just cutting out parts that I like. And then I'll make my decision what they're going to be when I get ready to do this. What parts are going to show and what parts aren't going to show and all that good rot. Okay, so let's square this off. Which, by the way, I don't cut straight, so that's why I do the paper on the edges, so that I've got a way to camouflage them. And I am going to switch my paper because everything's sticking to it, and just start gluing. I wish YouTube had a way for you to put pictures in the comments. I'd love to see what everybody's doing right now. Well, Carol, in case you're wondering, I do a live project of some sort the second Saturday of every month. Sometimes it will change if there's other things that are going on, mostly birthday parties or something like that. It used to be Gary's weekend off. I would try not to do them then, but that's only going to be for a little while. Charmaine, did you see who's in here? Because my husband is retiring and we will be, he's going to have to work around my schedule for a while. And as you can tell right now, I'm just picking up the scraps of what I cut out and gluing them down. That kind of helps fill in space. Carol, are you still here? I hope so, because it's kind of like old times. I might get sentimental here, guys. I really like this, but it's going to cover up too much of that green, and I wanted that to show. Oh, there. That's perfect. Uh-oh, did you hear that? My glue lid just hit the ground. And it's going to stay there because I'm not going to get down and crawl on the floor for it. So the gang's all here. Charmaine, Carol, and I, we used to always craft together. This is really cool. Oh, I don't know where you're going to go, but you got to go on here somewhere. And you know, so many times I've watched other people do things and they layer and layer, and I'm like, don't cover that up. That's so pretty. Don't cover that up. And I have finally learned to do that. I will cover things up. It's hard sometimes, but I will do that. Oh, yeah, that would be amazing. We just maybe need to set up a day and a time that works for all of us and do an online crafting thing. Just hang out. That would be fun. Some of the others in here, we do an online thing every Tuesday night. And yeah, it's pretty special. Bound and determined to have more of that green in here for some reason. And let's put a little black and white in here. Is there any of that left here? This tape has actually picked up, the sticky that's on the tape has picked up color off of the other side, which is really weird, but I don't like that there. It kind of makes for a different tape. I hope it holds up. Not so sure about that, but we'll see. Hi, Joyce. Nice to have you in. Right now I am just picking up little pieces to fill in spots. I have to fold this over so I can see where my spine is. Because I do like to, as I said earlier, I do like to not go over the spine in this because, like I said, the ink will cover that and make it look good, because spines just tend to have the worst, I don't know, worst area for falling apart. That's what I want to say. Well, I'm glad you popped in today. I I am so glad I fixed my phone on screening my calls. I didn't even know that was ever an option because it has just rang like crazy today. Right now I'm using some of the little scraps because I just have little pieces left. Or spaces, rather. Little spaces. And again, we're okay leaving spaces because that's why we put the paper down. And boy, are my fingers gluey. I think I'm going to use some of this striped stuff again to do the spine. Yes, you're right. I wish there was a way that we could do that better. I do plan on having some kits that will have printables instead of, the whole kits. There may be parts that you would still have to get. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. All I know is that I love making kits, and I have not made any for a long time, so this was a big thing. Bye, Anne. I'm glad you stopped in. I hope to see your finished project. Look at this glue all over. I've got one little spot I want to stick something. What color? That's a lot of it. It's just kind of the colors that appeal to me that fit in the right spots is what I go for. And I have no degree in any kind of art, so it's just kind of all by eye. What appeals and what makes me smile. And I need one more little piece right there. Now, when I put this in there, I still am going to see a little bit of this. So I think just because I don't want to piece that in, I am going to take a little bit of book page. And I'm not worrying too much if it's straight because one side's not going to be seen. And I'm just going to put that right there. Ooh, look at this. That's pretty cool. It must be some kind of map or something. So we're going to do that side because it's cool. And I'll just put that right there so that you don't see the brown. And so my cover is complete with this part, the gluing down and the collaging. I definitely always rub this and make sure everything is stuck down and go back and stick little pieces down if it needs to be. Sand the edges if it needs to be. So I'm ready to put this in and basic structure will be finished. but we do need to cover this. Oh, look, we get to do some exercises. Hi, Susan. Wish you were with us, but I understand. So you could set this here and kind of judge how things look together, or you could just do it. And I'm going to just do it because this little piece right here has been hollering at me for about the last 10 minutes. So, and the crazy thing is some of these papers that we're using today from the kit, because they're scanned in and I can cut them up and use them however I want at any time. In the last 2 days, I've been taking all of the originals and chopping them up into smaller pieces. And I don't know what they're all going to be yet, but it's been quite wonderful. I've enjoyed it immensely. So I am going to just mark this. I'm going to cover the whole thing at once and then piece over it, because it's not like there's not plenty of paper. And I really want that. I want this. This is what is appealing to me. And like I said, for anybody who's just come in or new here, I do have these kits available on Ko-fi. And I think they're pretty reasonable. Has everything you need. For the most part, there's tools that you may still need, but and again, you can always use your own stuff to make it your own. Okay, I didn't get it quite right. It's hanging over a little bit, so I'm being fairly gentle. That's why I kind of pushed it back the other direction so that I don't misshape the box that's being covered. Oh, wow, that's a wonderful dream. I wouldn't want to get up either. I hope you didn't tell anybody that before you had breakfast. They say if you tell your dreams before you have breakfast, they won't come true. I don't know. That's what my mom used to tell us when we were young. So that will be right there. And I do need to sand on that edge a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like that. But I do think it needs a little more layers. Let's see. I like this. Again, it's the circles and the curves. I should have a psychiatrist analyze my art, find out what it is about me, why I like to do some things. I might not want the answer. But there has to be something something about, using one style a lot or something like that. I don't know. honestly, it just doesn't matter, does it? It's our art. We do it for us. We don't do it for anybody else. It's funny. I just picked this up thinking, oh, I'd like that in there. It's already on the board. Okay, this is good. A little bit of pink. Any questions from anybody? I don't want to miss any questions if you've got them. Sometimes I get going and I just kind of stop talking. We need a little something down here. The curved scissors are also really handy when you've got an edge that needs done because you can do that fairly safely. This could do more, but I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think I'm good with that. And then I will glue this down here. And the basic structure is finished for me. I'm going to grab an ink pad. And you could, take the pad right on that crease and put that dark or whatever. I mean, you can do a color. I just always tend to use something a little darker. Or you can use a brush or a sponge and ink your edges so they're dark. You could use paint water that's dirty. You could use a marker. I'm just doing the edges so that anything that is a little white will have some color to it. But I still like to take my Sharpie to the edges because I like to outline things. So we're going to do that really quick. And this you have to be careful on. So, you could do it like this. I tend to do this. And some people say, how can you do that and go that fast? I guess I've done it for a while because I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to do this and I'm going to go, oops, I slipped. So you see that extra thick line? So if you're outlining something and you slip like that, I just fixed it that way. And I will go back, but I'm going to finish this real quick. And there it's actually a little bit extra white, so I'm going to make it thick too. So it looks like everything was tied together to be this way. And you never know how thick your outline is until you lift it up. Now, if you're just going like this on the edges, then you do know, but I don't know. I like that black edge. It's just one of my favorite things because the black or the black and the white make your colors pop. And I like that. And I'm an outliner. I guess and being an outliner is much better than being an outlaw. Okay, there was my dad joke for the day. And I have some spots I wanted to just add a little thickness to because I like that. I like the unevenness. And when I outline things, a lot of times in my doodles and in my um, filling things in, I add the thick lines and the thin lines and double lines, and yeah, it just looks finished. And even this edge where it's obviously kind of in blocks, I'm actually going to outline those blocks too. I don't always use a Sharpie. I do use it for the edges. I don't usually use it on the pages, but it's here and it's handy, so why not? So I love this with the lines. Oops, I slipped. We're going to fix that. So I have these little thicker spots that I have messed up and, got it too thick. So I'm going to take a white paint pen or a white gel pen, whichever you happen to have. This was out, so I didn't have to get anything out. And I'm going to come over to these thicker spots and add some little white dots. And part of the design on that paper kind of helps fill in that corner a little bit. So now I just added black and white to my my page that helps add that little pop. And that's when you get into decorating. You can go into other spots where there's black and add some white dots, and you're going to just keep adding to it till you're happy. Or if you love it, leave it. There's no law that says you got to come in and do anything. And a lot of times I'll do little stripes because there's just something about black and white that makes me happy. And I do, and I'm sure I'm going to come in. This back to me looks very plain. And so I'm going to come in here and with my doodle pins and just fill in, kind of outline, and you can outline if you've used images that there's like this was one piece, but if you come in and you outline some of that, you're going to make it look like it was more than one piece layer. You're going to get the layered look without having to do the layered look. And when you've got dots or something, you can just anything you got on there, you can change it by adding your own marks and make everything look like it was supposed to. Like this is real light in there. So I mean that's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and circle those circles, which it just now makes it look like a face. So I have this little face on mine, and I'm just going to kind of make some of these other areas look like dots, so it kind of all ties together. And there's already some marks like, oh, there's a little piece stuck there. Like here we have this little area that looks like flowers. And I'm going to just take this petal that kind of got covered, and I'm going to go ahead and extend it out so it stays kind of like it was. And I'm just going to keep making marks. And that's where we're at for the rest of the cover, is just making marks. And you can stop when you're done. It's whatever it is you want. I don't know, maybe that you can put too much down. I don't kind of think so. Because as I said earlier, how I was cutting up a bunch of my existing pages that I've done and making smaller pieces to do something with. I'm finding once I cut them smaller, they need more marks. which is kind of weird. I thought they were done, you know. Well, I tell I'm talking a lot more today. My mouth keeps drying out. And then again, because these are copies or scanned in images, some of your lines may need to be darkened. Maybe they don't appeal to you, they're not dark enough. And I always got to add a curly Q here and there. Just however, like I said, however you want to do it. You do not have to do anything if that's what you choose. But I'd love to see, you know, if you're not a doodler and you're not a mark maker, try it because you might find out, hey, I can do this. And just do what you like. Do the marks that you see around that appeal to you. And basically, any kind of marks you're putting on here is lines or circles. Will I seal this when I'm done? Probably not. If I do, I will just spray it. Um, Mostly because I don't always know what materials I've used. Because if there's water-based materials on here and I do something to brush it on, I'm going to smear it. And I don't want to do that. So if I do anything, it would be like a matte spray. And even if I wanted it shiny, I would still spray it with matte first. I had an experience with Shrinky a long time ago, so maybe the formula of the Shrinky has changed. But I sprayed something with. I wanted it glossy. I wanted the little pieces I'd made to be glossy, and I sprayed them with glossy, and they just all bubbled up, and it was really gross and yucky. And so now, whenever anything needs to be glossy, it gets a coat of matte first. It's just the way it's going to be. And I haven't had any trouble since. So, but, you know, it's just how I think it needs, I'm not going to take that chance. I don't know if it was the Shrinky. I don't know if it was the spray. But regardless, I did not want it to happen again. So has everybody got their collage material on? Maybe you don't have your marks made on it, and that's fine. That could actually be something you do later because it can be time consuming. I'm going to go ahead and kind of add some black to this edges of the where the drawers are going to be. See, they're not matchboxes now. They're drawers. So this needs a lot more drawing and doodling on it, but I'm going to call that good for now. And I am going to see some of my edges got into that crease and they're curling up. That's why I avoid that if possible. So glue that down with wet glue. I'm going to let this set from where I just glued it. I know that this is going to get glued in there. I know it all still needs more drawing on it, but I'm going to get into the drawers now. So here's the drawers. If you've already colored the backs, you know what's the backs. And then you know what's the fronts. Now I do have to, you know what? I need to redo this drawer to keep it, because it was old. And I think what I'm going to do is put some tape on it. Where's my container with some tapes? I am going to put a little bit of glue. I'm not sure how, I mean, I wouldn't trust this to stay because it's just kind of end to end. But I'm going to take a little bit of tape and tape that. I'm taping it on the outside. I don't want to go too far down the long side because we don't want too many layers or anything that's going to cause that to not come out smoothly. And I need to put little darts in that tape so it comes down smoothly. So now I can cover this with what I please and it will be good. I could reinforce the inside, but if you look at the original, all I did for the inside was line it with book page. That's it. I didn't do the sides or anything. I don't know, just didn't want to make those tiny little pieces. So I'm going to take the book pages. Again, you can measure if you want. I hate it when this ruler gets upside down and then I can't pick it up. So the inside of this box is right at 2 inches. So I'm going to cut these on the paper cutter. And I can't get 2 inches out of this piece without the white edges. So I'm just going to cut this at 2 inches. Actually, I'm just going to go a hair under 2 inches because I think that's going to be the best. And yes. So I'm going to cut the white off. And measure it again. And it's it's a 1 and 5/8. No, not 5/8. Okay, this is how I really measure things. I was trying to be smart and measure them correctly and do the fractions and all, but this is 1/8 of an inch bigger than 1 1/4. So I'm going to cut it at 1 1/4. A little space on the edges isn't going to hurt. But that's silly, but it is actually how I measure things. It's like, oh, that's just a hair over this or just a hair under that. So 1 1/4 plus a hair. So we come down to 1 1/4. And I'm cutting 3 pieces. And your matchboxes will be different. You know, that's where you measure your own. And these should fit perfectly inside of there. And that's all I do for the insides of the boxes. So let's put some glue on them. We use the wet glue for this. And I'm just putting glue So you always find whatever's handy to press that down. So I have this done, and the drawers are lined. Again, you can do your edges if you want to. And you see me was able to salvage this one that had the edges there. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to do the front edges of them with book pages also. You could do them black. That would be fine. And I have just this little piece of paper here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to cut off this so I don't have the blank. And I cut this at okay. I just can't wait to tell you this. Hang on just a minute. The first line in here says error in the calculated value. I don't know why that's so funny to me, because when we started and I had errors in my calculations. So I am going to just take this like this, and I'm not going to worry about cutting them. I'm going to put this on there. Since the matchboxes are all the same, the drawers, sorry, I forgot, they're not matchboxes anymore. And put that down there, burnish that down. And then I'm going to take my scissors at an angle and trim it off. If it's not as smooth as you want, you can do the emery board thing. And we will do the edges so that they look distressy cool like we intended them to be. Definitely using white glue, wet glue on this one, because this is the one with the taped edges. And we want that to hold. And I'm not sure stick glue would work as well for that. Trim that down. I could have measured and cut them, but this was just as easy. It slipped a little bit. And got a little crooked there, so put the glue on this one. And we will trim this one. That one, the words are a little crooked, but it's okay. Because if anybody's trying to read the words, they don't have the purpose of the whole project. So you may want to ink your edges of your boxes so that, you know, if you've got any little spaces, it all blends in. You can definitely tell these boxes are old. So now they're ready to be put back in, but we've got to put handles on them now. And we're going to take a short little break. I thought I could handle it and hold it, but I can't. So I'm going to take a short break for a little potty break. I will be right back. Everybody still here? I feel like a new woman. Okay, I'm going to move some of my papers because there's no reason in having them out here confusing us. Some of the words and phrases in here, you can easily put them anywhere you want. It comes into the decorating part. I think we've kind of talked about that a little bit. And there isn't anything specific to show you. That kind of comes into what you like and what works for you. Now, my box is a little bit, I left a little more on the ends than I think I should have. But because, yes, I'm feeling much better. I hope everyone else is too. I may come back in and cover this. Maybe. I don't know. I'm okay with it, actually. I think I'll ink it a little bit real quick. Much better. I think it was just too stark for me. But you can decorate this however you wanted. Yeah, I did. I knew it was going to get worse, so I didn't do it. But you can pick out words like I did on this one. Trust today. I don't even know where that came from, but I liked it. And kind of I used inspirational things. Not inspirational exactly. Positive affirmations maybe. So and I do have a little tub of pieces of papers that I've stuck together and just stitched them. And that's what this is. That's why there's the stitching on there. So the things that are left to do is to glue this in and decorate it how much ever you want or how much little you want. And, you know, you may find when you start decorating that, oh, I just don't like this piece, and you may want to pick up something else. You know, I'm not saying this is what I'm going to do. I'm just saying you may want to pick something else up and glue over it to change its shape a little bit. That's okay. That's kind of what collage is about. And anyway, so we want to finish decorating. We want to glue this in. We need to put the little pulls on here and make the little books. And then in your kits, and you can use anything. If you don't like what's in your kit, a lot of you got my handmade yarn that I make where I sew lots of different yarns together. This kit happens to have this multicolored twine that I have. I don't know where it came from, but it came on a really cool wooden spool. And it really was all these different twines together. So you can, you know, just tie it on with a bow. You could You don't want to stay in there and not glued, do you? You could make it where it's tied, but it slips on and off. You could do it where maybe you're gonna stay where I tell you to. And there's plenty here. There's more than enough. You could do it. I mean, like this one happens to be 3 pieces. I could braid that, which that would be really cool. And this actually looks really good with the papers I chose. But you could do this and then, multi-wrap and tie it. Or you could take your bulb pin and tie it onto one end so it's a dangle. And like, so it's tied onto this one end right here. And then you get it to where it wraps around and then wraps around your dangle and comes back down. So there's lots of things you could do with that. You do have plenty of things in here to do do the drawers and maybe make little dangles too. So, oh, see, I got a piece that's on the crease that didn't do what I wanted it to do. We'll have to work on that. Okay, let's put the drawer things in, the handles, the pulls, whatever you want to call it. I am going to, if you're going to use a pokey tool to make your hole, I suggest first you find it. If you've got something that you can stick in there that you can poke against, that's really good because you don't want to tear up your little drawer. You probably can pinch it tight enough and you can do this and just work it in. Be slow because you could easily poke it too hard and do it. Now, I happen to have a small hole punch and I already kind of put the mark where I wanted it, so I am going to make a punch. If you've got a punch, great. If you don't, you can easily do it with the awl or the needle. Now, this is an old awl. It's not as sharp as it could be, so a needle might have been faster. Okay, I'm going to get into this little part. We don't need this yet. And I'm not paying attention to what's in here. I mean, I know what's in here, so I'm grabbing what I know is in there. Let me use this little drawer right here to let some of that come out. Okay, so what you have in here, you do have brads where you could take the brad and poke it in the hole. And these are tiny and my fingers are fat. I am looking for my favorite pair of tweezers. And I don't find them, so we'll make these work. So you could take this and put it in there and use that as your drawer. There's not a lot to hold on to. So what I would suggest if you're doing that is to take one of the flat beads, and there's some that are a hard plastic and there's some that are silicone. I'm going to take this one and see if this will fit inside of there. Ugh. Why do I pick tiny little things? I guess it's not going to go in that one. So let's see these little silicone ones. Nope. This is... to think I have a bunch of projects playing with little stuff. Okay, I got that on there. Now I'm going to take that. Hopefully you can stay together. Probably if I would cut my nails, it would be easier. Now, how many of you are already thinking that? So I'm going to take that and stick it in the hole. And by putting that flat bead out, I kind of made it, a little more sticking out. So that's one of your options. And you do have, or you should have, I think I I know you need 3, but I always add extras because things fly off. Like you just seen that little bead fly off, right? So that would be one thing you could do. And we're going to go ahead and poke a hole in this other one. And I'm eyeballing it. You may want to go a little bit bigger for this next idea. If you've got the twine, that would be the best. But if you don't have the twine, maybe you have some ribbon or something like that. And you could, I'm going to fold this in half, and I probably shouldn't have cut it this short. And I just recently took all the crochet hooks out of my Lazy Susan, and that's what would be the handiest. But they also happen to be just within 2 steps away, so we're good there. So we're going to get a crochet hook, or well, let's just make this a little bit easier, actually, because you have plenty of head pins in there. You could use a head pin, or you could use a tiny piece of wire, and I'm going to use the head pin. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm using it, I'm not, because it's not heavy. I mean, it's too heavy. You would need a thin piece of wire or a needle and thread, something to loop through this. But we're going to go into the crochet hooks and find a teeny tiny one. There we go. And we're okay. So we're going to put this through there. And this hook's a little bigger than the hole. And you can put your ribbon or thread, whatever it is you're going to do. This is just way too thick for that hole. So we're going to help it out a little bit. We're going to undo the twist and use a single part of it. We're going to put this on there and loop this through and pull it through. Come on, you can come out. Anybody else talk to their stuff while they're crafting? Yeah, come out, come all the way out. Oh, this time it should come out easier since it's already went through once. Okay, so we have it out. And now you would tie this part in a knot, and you would have a little pole instead of the bead, which isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And because I already cut this, I know that I can't get in there and tie that tight. So we're going to do this one more time. We're going to take this and we're going to cut it longer. This is not one of those where you have to worry about waste. You're going to have it regardless. Unwind that. Now, somebody else could maybe tie that tighter or short, but I can't. And I'm going to tie this. Even this is a little tough for me. My tweezers. Go inside there and pull that knot tight. There we go. Woohoo! And you just want to kind of pull it to however long you want your little handle to be. And I'm going to cut that off. So you don't really waste a whole lot, actually, but, you know, just depends upon what you can what you can, the length you can tie. Now I'm going to hook that back on and pull it through because it's got a knot. It's not going to slip through. So there you go. You've got a little pull handle. So that's one way. And I'm going to put these back over here because we have one more drawer left that needs to have it. Okay, so this one has the brad, and you're going to probably need something to help you go in there and open that brad up. I'm going to use my little palette knife here because it's flat. I'm go in there and separate those. Maybe. And I spread out the brad. It's kind of the same. I mean, it's such a light color you can't really see it, but so now you've got the little pull. And yes, it's a little harder to hold on to, but it is doable. And here is the original, like I had done on mine, and I'm going to show you that one. This one you kind of do need some jewelry tools for. I'm going to take this. Let's get this cruddy stuff out of here. Okay, so I'm going to take the head pin and I'm going to put one of the little seed beady things on there. And then I'm going to put a flat bead. And then we're going to poke a hole in here too. We forgot that part. I'm going to poke the hole. And you can measure to get this in the right spot. I noticed one of these isn't quite perfectly centered, but that's okay. This is the one that has the tape, so it's got a few more layers to punch through. So you're going to, you have on here your head pin, you have your bead and your flap thing. You're going to stick it through here. You're going to put on another flat bead, mostly so that it doesn't pull through. And now you're going to take your jewelry tools that would have been handy to have, but you're going to cut that off to a half an inch or so. You're going to take a pair of round nose pliers or tiny needle nose pliers, either one. And I'm just going to spiral this. It does not have to be perfect. It's only in there to hold that all in place. And I'm just going to keep spiraling. See, it's not hanging well. It's really loose. So I'm going to keep turning it till it's tight enough to stay where you want it. And if your drawer, I actually am using the one that I had to repair, but if your drawer corners fall apart, you've seen how I've done it. So even if you're a little rough, now it's nice and snug. And then you can, if that curl is too much of your thing, you can take your needle nose and just kind of smash it down and smash it against itself and you know, make it tighter in there. So that would be your drawers. And you got them here and you just put them back in. And we have 3 different closures on this one. Yes, when I'm done, I will go in and make sure they're all the same. Although being all different that's kind of cool. And that would be how you get your secret drawers in your little book. So that's basically how you do the drawers. And then, you know, these aren't glued in yet. I haven't decided for sure what I'm doing with that. But that is your basic structure. The decorating comes and however you want to put it together. I showed you what I did. I showed you how I do it. And I want you guys to try your own way. And like I said earlier, I'd love to see y'all post either in um, Kim's page and or Crafting for a Cause, either one of those, or you my email, jeanpeterartist, you can at gmail.com. You can send it to me that way and I can share it. I'd love to see what you do with these. So now for the other little part on the inside, the little books. I have in mind, I just have one book done. Actually, I have two books, but this one I can't share because these were purchased stickers and I put them together and scanned them in, put them together with tape on the back, and then scanned them in so I could make a little book like this. Now, I have since found um, these images that I have purchased that I can do this with. So I may make this down the road. If I do, check my Ko-fi store. I will put it in there. I just downloaded them and I haven't done anything with them yet. So what we'll do is we'll make the little book. Now I am going to cheat because these drawers are basically the same size. Oh, this one's a little longer, so I guess I'm not going to cheat. We know when we measured this earlier and made our little bases that sit in there, I didn't write the measurements down. I usually do. We know that we did 2 inches by 1 1/4. So that is the largest that your book can be in here is 2 inches in my box. Measure it. And what I would do is I would measure it and make the little cover and see if it's going to fit in there or if you have to adjust it. And if the cover fits, then you can make the pages because I think we've all made books and made the pages, you know, inside knowing how to do that. So we're going to do a quick book and where did my, oh, there's my cardstock. So I know that 2 inches by 1 1/4. So that means I need to cut it 2 inches by 2 1/2. So I'm going to cut this paper real quick. And I'm using my paper cutter. It's off to the side. So I have my little book. Going to fold that in half. And I'm going to see how it fits inside the little boxes. Now with this one, you got to remember you've got that little wire bit, so you got to make sure. And it fits. It could be a little looser, so it'd be easier to get out. So I'm going to take it over the paper cutter, and I'm going to trim a hair off this way and a hair off this way. Now I am actually cutting this through the folds. I mean, you know, with the paper folded, but you could open it up and cut it out too. So now let's see. Cover fits perfect. And now we will measure this. So all the measurements in this are as you go. This is not one that you can have standard measurements. So this is for the inside pages so that we have it not hanging out too far. We're going to go 2 1/4 by 1 5/8. So I'm going to take this, 2 1/4. And now I'm going to cut the pages at 1 5/8. Is that right? No, that's not right. I already lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah. 1 5/8. I think. I'll fold this in half. And there. Okay, I was wrong. Write that down. That doesn't happen very often. No, 1 5/8 is right. I just didn't measure 1 5/8. So there is my pages. And they will fit in there perfectly. So now I want to cut how many ever you want. I think 3 or 4 is going to be good. Because you don't have a whole lot of room in there. And yes, I'm sitting here cutting pages. Off screen, nobody can see me. So I have 3 pages cut. And I will just fold them. I'm not being real precise and paying, I mean, I'm matching up my corners and edges and these are tiny books. I'm making the project because it's cool. I'm not probably going to put anything in here, but then again, why not? Because you can. I mean, we've got plenty of paper left over. You could put little images on there, and you could got plenty of quotes. So there's a little book. If your pages hang out, you want to trim that off, be more than welcome to do that. They don't really hang out so much, but it's because there's multiple pages. So I'm just gonna trim this instead of taking it with the X-Acto knife because this is just as good. So there we go. There's our book. Now, somewhere right here is your string. And there's plenty here to tie your pages. My goodness, somebody's texting me a lot. And I'm just going to take quite a bit of it off. This is way more than I need for one book. It's probably more than I need for all the books. This is a waxed linen upholstery thread, I believe. And it's really strong. And let's just hope I can thread this needle. Oh my goodness. Maybe I spoke too soon. It's thread separated. So if you've got a wax thread and you're getting ready to thread a needle, go like this with your nail. If you don't have a fingernail, pair of scissors, something, and you flatten it. And it helps you put it through the eye of the needle without having to drag your magnifying glass. So I have my thread. I am not doing a 3-hole pamphlet. That's kind of a lot of work for this tiny. So I'm going to poke a hole and come down, and I'm trying to center it. I'm not measuring, but poke my second hole. And depends on whether you want them tied on the inside or the outside. If you want them on the inside, you start on the inside. If you want them on the outside, you start on the outside. And pull it out and then go back in the other hole. Make sure it's nice and tight. And tie an overhand knot and another overhand knot. And don't let it slip out of your hands like that. And there you're done. You snip those threads. These scissors don't cut thread very well. And you're still threaded for your next books. So there's your book. I'm going to take my scissors and press down on this fold, crease it a little bit better so it stays closed. You could cut out little images. You could use, say you have some washi tape with pictures. Maybe you want to, put that on the edge. I don't really like that, but maybe there's something you already have, but you can just decorate however you want. This might be a fun place to put one of the littler quotes. Like this one. I love this one. These are actually, when I got these quotes, I printed them once. And what I have is smaller than what you guys have. I realized they weren't the right size. And this is probably too big for the book, but we could put it on there like that. So you could put a little, I kind of like this, so I'm gonna do what my mind is seeing right now, and I'm gonna pull up some of this collage papers pieces that are scrapped, and I am going to put some glue on this. Don't have the lid on, so it's a little dryish on top. It's just still good. It's still good. And I'm going to put it right here. Trim this down. So it's like matted. Not matty, but matted. Glue it. And yes, it's going the long way of the book, but it's your book. You can make it go whatever direction you want it to go. You could cut the words out and do them so that the title goes this way. But I love this one, and I think this one works. I've got a good heart, but this mouth. So there we go. So there's our first little book to go into our little box, our little drawer. And when you have something like this knot, if you put it in like this, it'll fit, and it will be much easier to handle, so that you go over that bump of sorts. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and put this other drawer in. I am not going to make the other two books because we only need to see one. Most of us doing this already knows how to make a book. And let's just glue this down because it's moving around and it's going to drive me nuts. So I'm going to use the wet glue. And just make sure it's where you want it. And there you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the cord that, that I have in my kit, and I am going to tie a knot in this end just to keep them together. And I really want to braid this. I think this would be really cool. I'm not sure I can braid it without my clipboard to hold it down. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. So I'll just do it this way. And okay, so tie a knot in this end. I'm going to put this one really close to the end because of the amount of space I think I need. And I'm just going to hold this and wrap it. And they meet up, so they're not, it's actually a little bit short, wrapped twice. So I'm going to, you just play with it and see what works for you. I'm going to do that. And I could do a knot, or I could slip something in there. That kind of will keep it closed. I think that looks really cool. And it should, because it's not snug, slip off and slip back on. So there you go. And like I said, I know we didn't completely finish this, but the books you can do, as you go along, whatever it is you want to do, and you're embellishing. I know me, and that could take me at least another hour, and we've already been almost 3 hours. This is longer than I've done in a long time, and but it's a fun little project, and I hope that everyone enjoys it and finishes it up and shares it with us. And I can't wait to see what you've done. Did anybody get this far? Did anybody finish it? Mostly I'm asking Laura, are you going to make sure you finish it? I can't wait to see yours. If it ends up in the trash, then I'm going to have to come over to your house and dig it out. Okay? Yep, that's the truth. But we're going to finish them, right? Yes, we are. Have you enjoyed it? Is this too much of a kit? Any I am always open to suggestions of what you want to see next or what you want to make next. I'm willing, if it's something you've seen on Pinterest or a video, send it to me. I'm always looking for something new, and I'm pretty good at figuring out how to make something or make something similar. So if you've got an idea and you want to try it on our Saturday shenanigans, just let me holler. Give me a holler. Don't let me holler. Give me a holler. And we'll see what we can do. I do have one project. I was looking for it. It was sitting here. This is a near future. This was sent to me as a project. And this will be one of our projects. And then you open this up and you have a little picture or scene or something like that inside of them. I have already got little tins. So this will be an upcoming project. So my mind is working, but I always want your input, because I want to make the kits, but I want to make something that you want to do too. So any questions before I get out of here and go fix me some lunch? Or did you all fall asleep because I was so overwhelming. Okay. So with that being said, I think I'm going to call it finished for now. I will continue working on mine and I will share it when I'm finished. Um, Maybe I'll put it on my Ko-fi site in the little bloggy part where I can just share pictures, and I'll post it in a couple Facebook groups too. Yeah, yeah, that was I actually had my stapler out because you could easily staple those books. I would have done that too, but I the needle was just as easy for me. So thanks, Sherry. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get a chance to make something like this. And there's nothing cheating about that, Susie. We all got to do what's easiest for us. So, all right. Thank you, everyone who's purchased the kits. Um, my Ko-fi store is listed in the description if you need a kit. And I'll see you the next month, second Saturday of the month. And everyone have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Maybe. Can't find my mouse. All right, ladies, gents, I will see you all later. Bye bye.